Press the little button on your screen. Okay, so welcome everybody. Good morning. Good morning. My thought this week that I've been working with, playing with, is on listening. So just the idea that as we move into summer, it's very easy to, even though it's supposed to be, for many of us, it's an easier schedule. It's a time of, high activity. It's pitta season. So the idea of being in listening, observing state of mind or state of being means that you slow down a little bit. And by slowing down, it doesn't mean that you are avoiding doing this, that, or the other thing. But it does mean that you are able to actually perceive and receive more. So my thought has been, as I've been thinking on it, is that this is the basis for where most of our yogic teachings really come from. It comes from the ancient yogis not setting out to do things, right? They didn't so much set out to try and discover, a lot of what they came to understand, but they, sorry, 1 second, it's being weird. Fix that, okay. But much of what the ancient yogis gave us as teachings are things that were revealed, right? In meditation, things that were revealed because they were in a state of deep listening, right? So our greatest sort of understanding about our lives and about ourselves doesn't come from doing. We hear this over and over again, but where does it come from? It comes from being able to be in that deep state of listening or that deep state of observation, right? So that's what I am working with myself. I offer it to you as an opportunity to come into a place that is more settled, not because you are trying to stop doing things, but because you're just focusing on that state that is listening. Right? So comfortable seat if you're not there already, letting the eyes close. And already you can begin that practice by just letting your senses go wide. Right? Instead of the pratyahara feeling where we are trying to draw that all inward, is let your senses go wide, become all inclusive. So that you are perceiving the air on your skin. And whatever there is to hear, you're hearing it. And whatever there is to smell, you're smelling it. Whatever there is to experience behind your eyes, you're experiencing it. Become that state of observation. Senses go wide. Let the breath be the one thing that is consistently just flowing through you. And this in and of itself is meditation. It's just letting the senses become very open, letting the mind become very open but neutral. A couple more breaths, senses going wide. Just feeling yourself actually being in the moment that you're in, the environment that you're in. Fully connected. And your last breath, breathing all the way up to the crown of the head. And as you exhale the breath, bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. And we'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, please. Come forward to hands and knees. Take a child's pose briefly, knees nice and wide, big toes together to touch, dropping the hips back to your heels. Good. Then attention on the lower spine, so specifically the very base of your tailbone. I was thinking that again, we get very excited about the subtle body, or I get very excited. I don't know if you do, but I get very excited about this subtle body that we have. So the chakras and the nadis and all of the, inner workings of the self, capital S. And that the understanding of those things came about from deep listening. But as Americans or Westerners, I know that our tendency is that we try to learn those things through books. We try and learn it through our minds. I can read about it and understand it. Not really, right? So you have to, in your own way, find this place of deep listening, observation of your own inner self to experience what the meaning of these things are, right? You can read about them conceptually, but you can't understand them completely until you are in them. So attention at the base of your spine. Just fill the area with red. And don't be so specific of, oh, it's only this one little spot, or it has to be a circle or whatever. Fill the area with red. You can imagine there that there is a blooming lotus, some type of flower. If you don't know what a lotus looks like, doesn't matter. And focus on there are 4 petals. So a flower with 4 petals and the color is red. And be in the color. And those 4 petals are like 4 corners, the most stable base. So be in that element or that feeling of stable, equal, solid. And one more breath, breathing into the lowest part of your spine. And then walk yourself up to hands and knees, please. Do a little cat and cow. Inhaling, lifting the chest forward and up, tailbone tilts up and back, and then exhaling, curling and rounding, and lifting through the front of your pelvic bone. So again, still attention on that lower part of the body. Good. And then continue to move, inhaling, lengthening the spine. Good. Exhaling, curling in. Good. Nice, you guys. Keep moving. The state of listening, as it's often described, is not just hearing what's going on, but the state of listening is where you are really receiving what's being said or what's being expressed with no intent to respond. That's the tricky part, right? If you're really listening to someone, you're not thinking about what are you going to say next. You're really feeling and really bringing in what it is that they're saying through their words and even what's behind their words. The same thing is true when you're listening in that deeper sense to your own self, is that are you receiving what is there beneath the surface? Or are you waiting for what you're going to do next? Good. Come back to stillness, please. Stretch your right arm forward, left leg back behind you, lifting the left leg in line with the hip, right arm forward in line with the shoulder. Good. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, bring the elbow and knee together, round your back. So squeeze the elbow and knee towards each other. Beautiful. And then extend all the way back out. Still the attention on the lowest part of the body. Good. One more time. Bring the elbow and knee towards each other. Squeeze in. Good. And then extend all the way back out. Beautiful. And then release that right hand down to the floor, please. Left leg stays straight. Just drop the toes to the floor. And then take that heel to flat. Take the left arm up to the sky. Open twist. Good. And a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, wrap that left arm around in front of you underneath your rib cage. So reach behind that right wrist or behind the right armpit. Yep, you got it. Like you're reaching all the way back behind you. So curl through the ribs. Keep your left foot anchored to the floor. Good. And then take the arm all the way back up. Inhale. Nice. And then bring it around in front of you again, wrapping around underneath the rib cage. So you're rounding into your low back. You're rounding into your shoulders. Good. And then take that arm back up to the sky. So right knee's on the floor, left leg back behind you, Jessica. Drop the heel, left arm to the sky. Good. And then one more time, take the arm around across the front of the body, reach underneath you. Good. And then all the way back up, reaching through wrist to wrist. Awesome. And then release yourself back to hands and knees, please. Good. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. And a downward facing dog with the same attitude that you had in child's pose. So a breathing into the lowest part of the body. So breathing up the spine or it's really down the spine, but breathing up from the crown of the head to the tail. And then exhale, breath down the back of the legs. Even let your knees soften here so your shins move forward and your hips can move back. Good. And breathing yourself up that incline from the head to the tail, and then down the back of the thighs, letting your heels soften. So you're not pushing them to the floor, but you're not holding them away. One more breath like that, breathing all the way up the spine, into that space of the low back, into the tail, and then down the back of the legs, softening through the heels. Beautiful. Drop the knees back to the floor, please. Good. And then left leg comes back behind you, right arm forward. Is that correct? Nope. Other way. Right leg comes back, left arm forward. Can't believe that's not how I did it before. Good. Good. So find your balance with the right leg lifted, left arm lifted, squeezing in towards the center. So a strong sense of pulling the belly up towards the spine. Good. And then bring the elbow and knee together, round your back. Beautiful. And then extend all the way back out again. Keeping that navel center really drawn in. One more time, bend the elbow and the knee towards each other, round your back, squeeze, elbow to knee underneath you. Good, and then extend all the way back out. Nice, release the left hand down to the floor, please. Right leg stays straight, just drop the toes to the floor and then take your heel to flat, right arm to the sky. Good, so you're still pressing through that left shin. Try to find where you have that alignment of wrist to wrist. So that might mean that you have to lean your weight slightly forward over the left hand. Good. Might mean that you have to take that right hand that's above you and bring it slightly forward towards your chest so that you're not leaning back through that upper chest. Good. Deep breath in and then wrap the arm around in front of you as you exhale, round your back. So you're reaching underneath the rib cage. Keep your right heel flat to the floor so the hips are still stacked. And then right arm up to the sky. Again, wrist to wrist alignment. You're reaching through the center of the chest. Good. And then reach the arm around in front of you again, wrapping underneath you. Good. And then take that arm back up to the sky. Nice. And then one more time, wrapping the arm around in front of you, squeeze and round into your rib cage, into the lower spine. Good. And then take that arm back up to the sky. Nice. And then release the hand down to the floor. Please come back to hands and knees. Good. Again, tucking the toes, lifting the hips, come back to downward facing dog. And again, a softening through your knees. So your shins move forward. And as your shins move forward, you can press a little bit more through the tops of your thighs, pull the hips up and back, and then softening through your heels. So you're really stretching through the ankles. Again, this concept of staying with the attention at the lowest part of the body. Good. And not with just the feeling of, oh, I need something to happen here, but to actually feel an openness through the ankles, to feel an openness through the calves. Good. No locking the knees. Breathing up the spine to the tail. Down the backs of the legs. Good. Again, breathing up the spine, all the way into that space of the lowest spine. And then all the way down through the length of the legs, out through the heels. Last time, breathing up into the low part of the back, low part of your spine. And then softening down through the heels. Nice job. Step your right foot forward between the hands, please. Good. Walk both hands inside the front foot. Please circle the hips or make hip circles here. Nice. Good, you guys. And then come back to stillness, please. Knee is over the ankle. Good. Both hands still inside the front foot. Flex that right foot a lot. Let your knee drop wide. Good. And as your knee starts to drop wide, lift your butt just a little bit higher. Good. If you need to drop the back knee here, you can, but try to keep it lifted. So the right knee is going wider. Pelvis is moving forward, scooping forward. Good. One more breath. Lift your chest up higher. Lift your throat up higher. Beautiful. And then take that right foot back flat to the floor, please. And then step your left foot forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight, Parsvottanasana. Good. Blocks underneath the hands if you need them. Good. And then something underneath your hands is nice. So you can cat-cow your spine here. So again, if you don't have blocks with you, maybe the hands just come up onto your fingertips, or maybe the hands are resting on your front shin. You can get creative with that. Move your spine. And bringing the attention, the inner attention, slightly higher to the space of the pelvis itself, the wideness of the pelvis, the sacrum. And the color is orange. You can flood the area with orange, and maybe even imagining that that red that is at the base of the spine is simply like an ombre effect, right? Simply fading into orange as it rises up into the space of the pelvis. And a focal point there is a crescent moon, kind of like a smiling face. So it's the points are facing up, crescent moon. And a crocodile, water. Good. Come to stillness, please, letting your chest drop, letting your spine lengthen. Again, come back to that breath where you feel yourself breathing up the spine into the lowest part of your back and exhaling down the backs of the legs. Good. Inhaling from the crown all the way to the tail and exhaling down the backs of the legs. Again, you don't have to move the spine at all with that breath. You just follow it with your senses. You follow it with your awareness. It's what it means to be an observation. It's just, oh, the breath is moving this way. I can feel the breath moving this way. Interesting. What does it mean? It means that you're breathing through your spine. Whatever else is revealed to you is that's what it means to you to breathe through your spine. This is really the essence of what we practice for, is not just to do something with the body, but to become really great witnesses. One more breath, breathing up from the crown of the head to the tail, down the backs of the legs. Beautiful. Bend your right knee, step your left foot forward, top of your mat. Good. Feet underneath the hips, bend both knees, drop your seat back for chair, and then walk your hands up to the tops of your thighs. Cat-cow your spine. Good. And let your hips move back in space slightly so that all of the effort is not happening just in your thighs. Good. Hands can be on the thighs mark for cat-cow. Good. Nice, you guys. And then come to stillness, please. Take the arms up alongside the ears. Let the hips move back even more, chair pose. Let your shins move back. Let your knees move back. Good. Again, pressing through the heels, maybe a little stretch for the ankles. Good. Release the hands down to the floor, please. Straighten the legs and bow. Nice job. Right leg steps back behind you. Good. Nice long lunge. Both hands inside the front foot, please. Make circles with that left hip. It should be the second side. If I'm being crazy again, tell me. Good. But it occurred to me in my own life that there is a lot of noise. Not surprising. I live with a 3-year-old. But there's just a lot of noise. There's a lot of talking without saying anything. There's a lot of things going on that don't really mean anything. It's just noise. And I think that's normal. Nothing wrong with it. So we practice to make the time and the effort so that there's the space for us to listen. Come back to stillness, knee over the ankle, so that we don't stay in that state of overstimulation with just noise. Both hands still inside the front foot, please. Flex the left foot a lot, drop the knee nice and wide, or as wide as it's willing to go. And again, back knee off the floor if you can. If it needs to come to the floor, no problem, let it go there. Good, chest up. The idea of keeping it off the floor is that you really work through that back thigh and you get a little bit more stretch through the front of your pelvis. But if it's a stress for the knees or it's a stress for the back, then we bring the knee back to the floor. Good. Lift the chest a little higher. Yeah. Nice, you guys. Beautiful. And then take that left foot back to flat, please. Nice job. Step your right foot forward just a little bit. Both legs come to straight, Parsvottanasana. Letting your feet be as wide as your hips. Good. If you don't know how wide that is, right? If you feel like your feet are on a tightrope or that you have to wobble, right, in order to hold your balance in this position, widen your feet a little bit. Good. And then again, something underneath your hands is nice. Cat-cow your spine. Good. The idea that with listening or with observation, as we start to really understand what's valuable to us and what kind of isn't, what's extraneous. I feel like we have 10 million yoga poses and we only need 4, right? We only need 5 that really work with your body. It might be a different 5 every day, right? But you don't need many. You don't need a lot, right? But when we go to that inner world or those inner resources, we find out that what we need is really there. It's not outside. So can you learn to observe, learn to listen? Good. Come back to stillness with your spine and letting the chest open wide. Nice. And breathing from the crown of the head up to the tail, and then exhaling down the backs of the legs. And again, a softening through the knees here. So feeling that your shins move forward, but your hips pull up and back. Good. And then one more breath, breathing from the top of your head up to your tail, and then down the backs of the legs. Good. And then bend your left knee, step your right foot forward alongside the left. Separate your feet nice and wide. Turn your toes out, bend your knees, come down, squat. Good. If the elbows are inside the knees, I like that. Hands at heart center. Squeeze the knees in towards the elbows. So you hug in. Good. Squeeze in. Nice. The lower spine really actually appreciates the hugging. So engage the legs. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then open the chest wider. That's it. Nice, you guys. One more breath. Good. And then release the hands to the floor. Take your butt to the floor. So come to sit. Take your legs out in front of you. Knees bent. Good. Legs out in front of you, knees bent. So finding where you can balance on your sit bones, fingertips to the floor. Good. Take just the tippy toes of your feet to the floor. So there's no weight on the feet. But then with your hands on the floor, lift your chest a little higher. So again, you're lengthening the spine from the tail all the way up to the crown. Pull long. Good. And then hollow the lowest part of your belly. Draw the rib cage in. Good. And then go ahead with that, right? Float the legs up into boat. Good. Shins parallel the floor, or you can start to straighten the legs any amount. Stretch the arms forward if you'd like, or keep your hands on the floor and really work the extension of your upper spine. So if as soon as you lift the hands, you tend to curl backwards into your lower back, maybe keep the hands on the floor, keep lifting the chest so that you're really stretching through that lowest part of your back, middle part of your back. Good. And keep hollowing. Draw the navel in towards the spine and up. So not just straight back. It's not just a clench. It's an in and up. Hollowing. Good. One more breath. Soft throat. Beautiful. And then release the feet to the floor, please. Separate the feet as wide as your hips. Hands back behind you. Fingers pointing towards your heels. Good. If you have a block here and you want to place it between the upper thighs, you totally can. Or just press into your feet. Lift your hips. Come into reverse table. If you have the block, it's nice because you can then hug through the inner thighs. Good. And the hug through the inner thighs, believe it or not, helps to open up the outer hips. Nice. So as you hug that block, again, from the back of your sacrum, rise up and pull your tail towards your heels towards your tail. And then roll your arm bones back and feel the back of the heart rising up between the shoulders. Good. And then release the hips back down to the floor. Nice. Place the block to the side if you have it between the thighs. And then stack your right ankle over your left thigh. So your feet are still on the floor, right ankle over left thigh. You got it. Hands back behind you. Good. And then you're lifting your chest, your belly forward towards the crossed legs. Good. Thighs pull back and in. So again, you're on that edge of your sit bones, but you are starting to bring your torso forward and up. So it's like a figure 4 or a pigeon stretch, Andy. So just ankle over thigh. There you go. Yep, you got it. Good. So again, you make this as intense as you want it to be. If you are leaning backwards behind your sit bones, scoot forward so that you're in front of your sit bones and then work the legs from there. Good. So again, if you want it to be more intense, you're going to start to pull that left heel in towards your left sit bone more. Good. And you're bringing your belly closer, bringing your chest closer. Nice, you guys. And then keep breathing. Bringing the attention again from that low part of the pelvis up through this midline of the body, the center of the body, the trunk, the torso, fading into yellow, or rising into yellow. And the focal point is there's that downward facing triangle. Good. And the breath that goes with this chakra is the one that moves in a circle. You can feel in this part of the body the feeling of everything circulating, your blood, your fluids, digestion. Good. One more breath, lifting through the length of your spine, through your belly. Beautiful. And then release, please, stretching the left leg straight out in front of you. Bring the right foot to the inside of the left thigh. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Let your knee go wide. Sorry, right knee goes wide. Janu Shirshasana, arms up. Little twist to the left, please. Then bow over the left leg. Good. Keeping the inner thigh of that left leg pulling down to the floor so your toes are not falling outward. Good. Keep the foot awake. With that left heel digging down into the floor, again, a softness behind your left knee so that you can really, again, make this forward fold a stretch for the spine. So you're pressing your sit bones back, and then you're reaching from the middle of your back, from that point just below your shoulder blades, draws in and pulls forward. Good. So the place where you would normally try and round because the stretch feels like it's too much, try to engage, squeeze into that place and pull forward. That's it. Nice, Lori. Good, Virginia. Nice, Harriet. Awesome, you guys. And then start to move your hands towards, both hands to the outside edge of that left leg. Optional twist here, so you can place that right hand or the right forearm up against your left shin. Take your left hand back towards your left hip, and then start to turn your belly to the left, so towards the extended leg. Good. Left hand can stay at the hip or behind you is perfect. For those of you who are coming pretty deep into the twist, if you want to, take that left arm up to the sky or even over the ear, reaching for the foot, you're welcome to do that. Good. Nice. Keep that left heel rooted to the floor, navel drawing in. So again, the support of the navel for the spine, twisting through the ribs, right rib cage tucks under. Really good. Nice, Jessica. Good, Andy. Good. And then slowly release, please, all the way back to center, then all the way back up to sit. Good. Bend both knees. Take the feet out in front of you. Balancing on the sit bones again, hands behind you. Lift the shins up off the floor, hollowing through the low belly. Good. That hollowing, again, is a sort of contraction, but it's also a squeezing into your spine. So don't just make it about your belly. Hollow so that you feel a solidness through your back and lift through the heart. And then take the feet up into boat. So butt on the floor, feet up. Good. Hands can stay on the floor or you can lift them. Legs can come to straight if you choose, but really focus on this feeling of drawing the whole abdominal area in and up, hollowing. Good. Chest up, armpits up. Good. The idea here is that whatever angle you're at is you want the strength in your core that you are able to basically lift your legs straight up to the sky, arms straight up to the sky, as though you're in a seated forward fold. So focus on that. There you go. Good. And then release. Nice, Marjorie. And then feet to the floor, please. Hands back behind you. If you want the block between the thighs, place it there. Fingers pointing towards your heels. Press into the feet. Lift up into reverse table, please. So both feet on the floor first. Rising up. Good. So again, even here, a hollowing through the belly, a drawing of the back muscles together. So behind the heart, drawing in, and then you're lifting through the hips, lifting through the low part of the spine, lengthening from the top of your shoulders to your hips. So drag back on the heels, pull the tail towards your heels, chest up, stretch for the belly. Good. And then release the hips back down to the floor, please. Nice. Place your block to the side. And then coming into the hip stretch on the other side. So left ankle over top of right thigh, flexing the foot. Good. And then again, fingertips are behind you. So you are lifting yourself up towards those legs as much as you care to. Just make sure you are on the front edge of your sit bones. So you're not rolling backwards onto the wider part of your seat. You're coming forward. So no resting on your butt, come forward. That's it. And then again, drawing that right heel in closer towards your sit bones is going to make the stretch a little bit more intense. So you go as deep as you want to go. Good. Nice, you guys. And again, attention on the trunk of the body, energy circulating. Maybe you feel the breath as it flows in a constant cycle, a constant circle. An observation. Don't get so caught up in the pose that you forget to observe. Don't get so caught up in the sensation that you don't notice anything else. Good. Take one more breath, lifting the chest, lifting the belly, again, stretching through the spine as long as you can get. Good. And then slowly release, stretching the right leg straight out in front of you. Bring the left foot to the inside of the left thigh. Let your knee go wide, or inside the right thigh, sorry. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Twisting just a little bit to your right, bow over the right thigh, Janu Shirshasana. Good. Keeping that right inner thigh rotating just slightly down and in. So again, there's a feeling of keeping the leg very settled in its alignment with the hip. Good. And then start to take yourself into a little bit more of a twist, taking both hands to the outside baby toe edge of your right foot or right leg. Maybe the left hand or the left forearm anchors against the outside of the shin. Right hand can come back behind you or to your lower back. Start to twist open towards the right. So turning through the belly. Good. Keep your armpit lifting forward, lengthening forward. So you still have that angle of the forward fold. So you don't come upright. You're still leaning forward. Good. And then if you'd like to, if it's available, right arm can come to the sky or over the ear. Nice. Or keep the hand where it is and continue to just really work through the spine. So drawing the navel in, hollowing. And again, not with the intention of just getting tight through the abdominals, but actually hugging. So you're squeezing the front body to the back body. Good. And then lifting through the armpit, lifting through the chest. That's it. Nice, Andy. Good, Danielle. Nice, Lisa. Good. And then slowly release all the way back to center, please. Walk yourself all the way back up. Nice job. Good. Cross the ankles, please. Roll forward to hands and knees. Good. Downward facing dog. Good. Just one breath, breathing from the top of the head all the way up to the tail. Down the backs of the legs so you don't forget. Shishumna, right? It doesn't stop. That line of energy doesn't stop just at the base of the spine as it continues into infinity. You continue into infinity. So observe that. Good. Right leg comes up and back behind you. Down dog split. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Drag the arms up into the shoulder socket. Keep that thigh lifted and then begin to lift your chest forward and up any amount. A little scorpion variation. Good. Again, remembering your navel. So drawing up through the rib cage. And then again, really squeezing the shoulder blades to that space behind the heart. And the lift of the chest is just the expansion of your breath. So don't work so hard at it. Just keep the arms really engaged and widen your chest as you rise up. Beautiful. Really nice, Lori. Really nice, Danielle. Good, Marjorie. Good, Mark. And then releasing the head, please. Step that right foot between the hands. Lunge. Good. Drop the back knee. Use a blanket if you'd like. Inhale the arms to the sky. Anjaneyasana. Good. Nice, you guys. Heart lifts a little bit higher. Start to take it into any amount of a back bend that you'd like. So chest goes nice and high. Hips move forward. Navel in. So again, don't lose that part of yourself just because you're rising higher into the chest. Beautiful. And then come all the way back up. Release the hands to the front thigh. And again, if you want that cushion underneath your knee, have it. If you can, bend your back knee, no hands, just bend your knee, kick your heel in. Don't reach back for the foot, just work the thigh. Good. Again, if you can, if you need to reach back with the hand for the foot, that's fine. And if you need to leave the foot on the floor, that's fine. And then take the arms back up to the sky. Good. Same thing. Find any amount of a back bend here, heart rising high as you squeeze that heel in. Good. Nice, Robin. Good, Mark. Knee goes a little wider to the right. That's it. Nice, Jessica. Good. And then release the foot, please. Release the hands. I know that's probably the most annoying back bend you've ever done. Lift the back knee up. Good. Right leg comes up and back, down dog split. Surprisingly, I do teach poses that I myself don't like, and I don't like that one. But there's something really interesting about trying to find the back bend really through your spine with your leg engaged, right? Good. Step that right foot forward between the hands. Nice. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat, cartwheel the arms up to warrior two. Good. Front knee over the front ankle. Turn your palms to face up. Good. Feel those feet squeezing towards each other. And then as you lift the heart here nice and high, hug those arms in towards the back of your heart. So take this into almost a back bend. Good. Squeezing the legs towards each other. So you're not leaning back towards the back leg, but you're just literally lifting the heart, leaning back. Find the back bend in warrior two. Knee goes nice and wide. Good. Open chest. Nice. And then draw your ribs in. Come back to what feels like your neutral spine. Bring the right arm onto the front thigh, left arm over the ear, side angle. Good. Drawing the low rib cage in, rotate left rib cage towards the sky a little more. Beautiful. And then go ahead, release the hands down to the floor, please. Spin your back heel up. Step back to downward facing dog. Good. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Good. Feeling that energy rising from your thighs forward and up into the pelvis, up into the belly, and then your rib cage draws in. So finding that connection between your abdominals and your chest. So draw the arms up and into the shoulder socket. Feel the whole front of the body rising up to support the back of the body. Lift the back of your throat. Chest nice and wide. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees first. If you need, don't collapse through your ribs. Take your knees to the floor before you collapse. Good. And then point the toes back behind you, please. Rise up, cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Good. And again, pressing down into the hands, squeezing those upper arms so that you feel that you are pulling the chest forward and up. The heart moves between the shoulders. Nice. And then release, please, downward facing dog. And the attention moving up the spine from the trunk of the body up into the chest and shoulders. Color is green. Left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Good, keep that thigh lifted. Plug those arms into the shoulder socket. Pull everything in towards the core. And then begin to lift your chest forward and up any amount with your breath, right? So you're just breathing wider through your chest and through your shoulders. Keep the navel drawn in. Good. Keep that softness of your right knee so you're still stretching through the ankle. Beautiful. One more breath. Get wide through the chest, wide through the shoulders. Pull the arms up and in. Nice. Really good, Lori. Nice, Jessica. And then release the shoulders, please. Release the head. Step your left foot between the hands. Lunge. Dropping the back knee to the floor. Use a blanket there if you'd like. Anjaneyasana. Good. Arms to the sky. Again, finding the lift of the armpits, the lift of the sternum first, so heart to the sky. Find your back bend, whatever that looks like, pressing through the front heel, letting the pelvis move forward, rising up. Good. Really nice, Robin. Nice, Lisa. Good, Mark. And then bring it all the way back up to center. Please take your hands to your front thigh. Good. And then again, if you can, so your weight of your pelvis has to be slightly in front of that back knee. So if you have to lengthen your lunge, lengthen it. And then bend the back knee. If you can, squeeze that right heel in towards your sit bone, but don't reach for the foot. So you're still digging the knee down and forward, but you're doing it all with the work of the leg, right? And then arms back up to the sky. and any amount of a back bend. Again, if you have to reach for the foot here, no problem, go for it. And if the foot needs to stay on the floor, fine, no problem. Find your back bend. Good, squeeze everything in. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Heart to the sky. Awesome. Nice, Lisa. Good, Mark. Good, Marjorie. Nice, Virginia. Release the foot, release the hands. Nice job, you guys. Lift that back knee. Left leg comes up and back, down dog split. Good. Again, breathing long through that leg. Breathing long through the spine. Beautiful. And step that foot back between the hands, please. Lunge. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat, warrior two. Good. So the image at the heart center is of interlocking triangles. So one that faces up and one that faces down. Interlocked like a star. Turn your palms to face up. Lifting the sternum up towards the ceiling, start to take yourself into any amount of a back bend here. So you draw those arms in again to the center of the chest and widen through the shoulders, widen through the front of the chest. And then equally let your pelvis go wide. So your knee comes into a deeper lunge. Pelvis is dropping down, but the heart is rising up. So those interlocking triangles is where the energy that is rising up and the energy that is flowing down meet in equilibrium. That's the energy of the heart. Good. So one more breath, super wide. Beautiful. And then come back to a neutral spine. Good. Take that left forearm onto the front thigh, right arm over the ear, side angle. Good. Taking that left rib cage under a little bit more, squeezing your left butt cheek back and in. Heart opens even more. Stack the right rib cage. Good. And hollow the low place of your belly from the bottom of your ribs all the way to the top of your pelvis. Draw it in. Hollow it in. So again, it's a hug, not a squeeze, but a hug. Awesome. Nice, Marjorie. And then release the hands down to the floor, please. Good job. Spin your back heel up. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Come forward to plank pose, upward push up. Again, pausing for a moment, feeling that feeling of pulling the arms up into the shoulder socket, feeling the low rib cage drawing in so that there's, again, this lifting of the front of the body into the back of the body, and then pull through the crown of your head. Good. So already getting into this feeling that the heart rises straight up into the throat. Beautiful. And then lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Don't collapse through your ribs. Knees to the floor. Stay lifted through the belly as you come down. Nice, Virginia. And then rise up, cobra. Lift head, neck, and chest. Good. Awesome, you guys. Press into the hands, squeeze the arms, and feel the chest rising between the shoulders. Beautiful. Breathe wide. Good. And then release, please. Downward facing dog. Good. Look forward between the hands. Step or jump your feet to the top of your mat. Good. Separate your feet nice and wide again. Turn the toes out. Bend your knees. Come down, squat. Good. Then again, hands at the heart center, elbows pressing wide into the knees. And breathing again from your tail all the way up to the top of your head. And as you exhale, ujjayi breath, so a slight constriction at the throat so that you hear your breath audible. It's like you're trying to make the sound of steam or the ocean. And breathing up the spine, and on your exhales, letting the exhale be audible. Good. You feel consciously the energy of the throat. And the color here is blue. Again, rising up that color spectrum. And with this chakra, it is surrounded by 26 petals. All of the letters of the Sanskrit alphabet, which in the Sanskrit language means every sound that can be made in that language. So imagine that you are breathing through every sound possibly made, every expression possible. I know, one more breath and squat because you're getting distracted by that. And then go ahead and bring your butt down to the floor. Stay with the Ujjayi breath though, if you can. So stay with that connection to the sound of your breath. Come on down to your butt. Good. Stretch your legs straight out in front of you. Give them a little shake. I know. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Good. Flexing the feet, digging down through the heels. Again, a softening of your knees so that there's a stretch from your pelvis. So your butt goes back, but your knees stay soft. And then bow forward, please. Paschimottanasana, reaching towards the feet. Again, staying with the Ujjayi breath if you can. So I taught this pose for one of my Thursday classes and saw an interpretation, read an interpretation of it that I had not seen before. The real sort of meaning of this pose is that it is to prepare Sushumna Nadi, the spine, for energy to flow, that it's not just a forward fold. It's not just to stretch your back, but it's to stretch the spine, to stretch the back in a way that that energy channel that the chakras reside within, expand through, can be unobstructed. So one more breath, again, pressing down through the back of your sit bones from that middle point of your back, lift forward and up. So draw those shoulder blades into that point where the back wants to round and instead lengthen. And breathe from your tail all the way up through your throat so you can feel that the breath, that whole line of the spine is connected. Good. And then slowly release, please. Walk yourself all the way back up. Bend your knees, come on down to your backs. Good. So shoulder stand, if that is available. And if shoulder stand today means that you place a block underneath your sacrum and take your legs up to the sky, that's perfect. Good. If you're coming into full shoulder stand, elbows bent alongside you. Good. Knees in towards your chest. Roll on the spine. Keep the abdominals nice and awake as you draw the knees in towards your chest. Lift the hips. Pressing down into the upper arms. So you have this sensation again of rooting down through the upper shoulders and lifting the legs. Good. And again, nice to stay with the Ujjayi breath so that you are keeping an awareness of your throat so that you're not just focusing on pressing into your shoulders or reaching through the legs, but there's a sensation of your throat is attached to your shoulders, right? The other focal point of this, one of the other focal points of this chakra is there's an elephant with the trunk pointed up, indicating that the energy is moving upwards into the higher chakras instead of down. It's easy to feel as we get into those higher chakras that the head or the higher chakras are somehow disconnected from the lower ones, and they aren't. They all rise into each other. They extend into each other, upwards and downwards. To the feeling that your throat is that place where whatever is in your head, whatever is in that space of the ethereal, the infinite, starts to really express itself in the physical. Okay, there's a fairly old book now that I think the title was something like The Body Hears Everything That You Say. And that's true. Your body hears everything that you say through your mouth, and it hears everything that you say just in your mind. It's always listening. So as our awareness gets better at perceiving what is happening in that inner world, as we start to maybe change the language of what we say to ourselves and then what we say to each other. If you're in full shoulder stand, come into plow, taking the toes to the floor above the top of the head. Good. Again, continuing to press through the shoulders so that you have a lift through your spine. Again, you're not losing that. Good. And if your feet comfortably come to the floor, separate your feet a little wider, bend the knees alongside your ears. Keep your sit bones lifting nice and high, even though the knees are dropping. Good. Nice, you guys. Staying with the Ujjayi breath, again, as a way to not only keep the mind attentive to what you are doing, but also to empower that line of your throat. And one more breath if you're in plow. And then as you're ready, start to take your legs back up to shoulder stand. Giving yourself 3 solid breaths in shoulder stand before you decide to come out. And at the end of that third breath, you can begin to roll down the spine one vertebra at a time. Keep the navel nice and hollowed so that as your hips come towards the floor, you bend your knees, but your abdominals help to control that coming down so you don't have that wild lifting of your head and shoulders. If your hips are on blocks, take the feet to the floor, find your way out of that, moving the blocks to the side, and allowing the hips to soften towards the floor. Good. Stretch the legs straight out in front of you. Arms alongside you, either in robot arms or straight, palms flat to the floor for fish pose. Good. Legs come together either way. Point the toes or flex, just active legs. Good. If your elbows are bent, in robot arms, keep them there. If your palms are flat, snuggle them close towards your side ribs. Hands slide underneath your butt. And then as you're pressing down into the legs, you start to arch the back of the heart, lifting through the chest, lengthening the throat, dropping the head back. Keep your butt pressing down into the floor. Keep your legs super active. Good. So the active legs help to empower the spine. If your arms are straight, you're pressing into your forearms, elbows are bent. Good. But still squeeze into that space of the back. Squeeze into the muscles of the spine. Beautiful. Long throat. Good. And then slowly release, please. Nice job. Draw the knees in towards your chest. Good. Hugging, hugging, hugging. And then separate the knees nice and wide. Reach for your ankles or your feet. Happy baby. Good. Nice, you guys. And then bring the bottoms of the feet together, heels dropping towards your groin. So don't drop the feet to the floor. Just draw your heels in towards your groin. Good. So it's like Baddha Konasana on your back. Squeeze your knees in just a little bit. Good. As your knees squeeze in, you can press down through the wideness of your lower back just a little bit more. Nice. And then bring the knees all the way together. Squeeze. Good. Bring the right thigh on top of the left, stacking the knees. Press the shins together, so wrapping the legs, right thigh over top of left. And then scoot your hips over to the right. Drop your knees to the left for spinal twist. Take the arms out wide. And moving the attention up into the space of the head itself, into the brain. Ajna chakra. Color is generally said to be indigo, between blue and purple. And here the lotus has only 2 petals. We often see it depicted with the petals going right and left, but many traditions show it with the petals vertical, up and down. Doesn't matter which one appears to you or makes more sense to you. The idea is that all duality becomes one. Everything is becoming simplified. Unwind your legs, come back up to center. Good. And then switch the cross of the legs. Take the left leg on top of the right. Good. Scoot your hips over to the left. Drop your knees to the right. Twist. And so when we're moving up this path of energy, it feels like things are becoming simpler. But if you were moving down, you would say this is the point where things begin to divide, or where there's even a concept that where there was unity, there's now something to look at. And so your perception here is sometimes called the command center. What you experience through this chakra is what ultimately is spun into reality through all of the rest of your being. So when you breathe into that idea that all things coming to a center point, instead of expanding outward, like we say the Big Bang, everything expands out. Can you feel it all drawing back into where it came from? Drawing back into a center. Stillness. Unwind your legs, please. Come back to center. Squeeze the knees in towards your chest. Bring your forehead up to meet your knees and hug. And then slowly release, stretching the legs out in front of you, arms alongside you, palms facing up. And so for Shavasana, maybe you stay at this place of the third eye, just breathing into that point where everything originates from, expands from, and back to. Or you start to go just one step higher into the crown, the 1,000-petaled lotus. 1,000 petals because there's really too many to count. And the color is sometimes said to be purple, but again, more traditionally said to be white, all colors, like a rainbow. So can you feel yourself immersed in that sense of light that has all colors and no color? Like the way light moves through a prism and you see little sparkles of this color, that color. You are immersed in that. Observe that. Or simply breathe. Very gently bring the awareness back to the breath. Letting the body begin to stretch and move, whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw the knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. And take a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Hands coming to heart center. The Just letting your attention again move through as you breathe from the base of your spine up to the crown, through that spectrum of the deep red at the lower body, up into orange, up into yellow, up into green, up into blue, up into indigo, and up into that place where all colors become one. And this is what we are given as the teachings, is to observe what you are, not to try and be something, not to try and accomplish something, but to simply observe what you are. And we forget that because there's so much noise. There's so much to do, so much to see, so much to get distracted with. So can you make the time, the opportunity to observe, this is what I am behind all that noise, beneath all that noise. And everything that you need is revealed through that listening. So in any way you can, practice having your senses wide open, having your mind wide open to just perceive. Not with the intent of deciding what to do, but just to receive. We'll close the sound of Om, deep breath in. You can't make this stuff up. Sliding the thumbs to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Voice of the divine. Fire sirens. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend until I see you again.
Veronica.